this type of budgeting is a rather simple strategy. It's basically a 3-bucket approach. Your pre-tax income is kind of like a unicorn. It's not real. A lot of people really like this flexible approach. They feel like they have a greater control of their money. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to Erin Talks Money. So what should you do with your money? How much should you be spending on everyday necessities? How much should you be spending on savings and investments? And how much should you be dedicating towards fun? Because, well, fun matters too. Well, these are precisely the questions that budgets help to answer. Money can be a stressful topic, but believe it or not, having a budget can help to eliminate some of that stress. In fact, those that do follow a budget on a regular basis report having significantly less money stress in their lives. Now, I know for some people a budget is a 4-letter word, but a budget is not meant to be restrictive or to hold you back. Instead, a budget is meant to give you greater awareness and control on what you're doing with your money. Now, in case you didn't know, there's actually dozens of different ways to budget your money. Any one of them can work in helping you reach your financial goals. What matters is that you choose a method that works for you, one that you're going to stick to long term. Now, one of the most popular methods out there currently is the 50-30-20 budget, which was popularized by US Senator Elizabeth Warren. She also happens to be a Harvard Law professor and a bankruptcy expert, so she knows a thing or two about money. In fact, back in 2010, Time magazine named her one of the 100 most influential people as she coined the term the 50-30-20 rule. So what exactly is the 50-30-20 budget? Well, I'm gonna tell you right after you hit that like button, of course, as it does really help the channel. So how it works with this budgeting strategy is that 50% of your money goes towards your needs, 30% goes towards your wants, and 20% goes towards your savings. Of course, all of these figures are going to be based on your after-tax income because, well, taxes matter. Let's say you have a job that says it comes with a salary of $70,000, but once taxes are factored in, say you only take home about $50,000. Well, in that case, you're going to build your budget around that $50,000 income because your pre-tax income is kind of like a unicorn. It's not real. But once you have your post-tax income figured out, then we move on to the first and largest category of our budget, that is the needs category. Now with this budgeting method, 50% of your income is going to go towards your needs. Now your needs are things like your rent or your mortgage, insurance, utilities, groceries, gas, or other transportation costs. And it's also going to include things like minimum debt repayments because your debts are essential too, especially those minimum payments because you cannot ignore your debts without huge,
sometimes they say huge, not a bad one, huge
negative consequences to your credit score. And of course, we want to keep that in tip-top shape as well. Now, you're going to think of your needs as anything that's absolutely essential for your living and your well-being. This is going to be food, clothing, shelter, medical costs, etc. Basically, you're going to want to ask yourself, can I live without this? If the answer is no, well, then it goes into your needs category. A lot of people like this budgeting strategy because it gives them a little bit more wiggle room. So instead of having such hard and fast budgeting rules, they get to just kind of fit all of their needs into this 50% category. For example, some of the more strict budgeting rules would be that housing can only be 25% of your income, or your car payment can only be 8% of your income. With this budgeting strategy, you don't have to limit your housing to 25%. You could spend more, and maybe you have to because you live in a very urban area and rent prices are higher. It doesn't matter if you go above that 25%, as long as you keep your housing expenses within that 50% with all of your other needs. So you get a little bit more play with this type of budget because the categories are so broad and a little bit more generalized. Next, we move on to the wants category, and the wants category is meant to be 30% of your income. A lot of people refer to this sort of as their fun bucket money. Now, this spending in this area is going to be things like going out to restaurants or shopping, perhaps gym memberships or vacations, etc. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to spend money on yourself. That's why this category exists. You're meant to enjoy your life, live in the moment, spend time with friends, do activities that you enjoy. Now, things in this category that you may not think are necessarily supposed to be here would be things like your cell phone or your internet or cable, unless they're legitimate business expenses, at which point you could probably write them off or shuttle them over to the needs category. That's why you have to get very strict about what is a want and what is a need and put it in the appropriate category. Now, once you put a cap on your total spending on your wants category, you may find that you need to decide between which activities or which products you're going to buy. You have to decide what's most important to you and what's worth getting your dollars. Because according to this method, 30% is the max you can spend on your wants. And finally, that last 20% is earmarked towards savings and any sort of accelerated debt repayment plans you have. This would include building up your emergency fund, perhaps saving for a specific goal, maybe a down payment on a house, retirement savings, which are going to include your 401ks and your IRAs, and also any debt repayments that you're doing above and beyond what those minimum repayment methods are. Again, a lot of people like this method because it offers up a little bit more flexibility. If you talk to any financial advisor out there, they're going to recommend that you put 20% towards your savings. But with this method, they allow you to put a little less in savings if you're dedicating your dollars towards paying off debts at an accelerated rate. So you get a little bit more flexibility with what you're doing with your money. A lot of people like to look at this category as their getting ahead category. So what would this budget look like in practice? Well, let's throw some numbers into the mix and see. Let's say that your post-tax income is $4,000, just for the sake of keeping numbers simple and the math easy. That would mean that $2,000 would go towards your needs in life, $1,200 would go towards your wants, and that final $800 would go towards savings or accelerated debt repayment. Now, this type of budgeting is a rather simple strategy. It's basically a three-bucket approach, with those three buckets being wants, needs, and savings. Once you have those categories established, well, after that, you get to kind of use a flexible spending plan. Because as I mentioned before, you don't really have to keep your housing at 25% or 30% of your income. You can spend as much as you want on your housing as long as it still fits in that 50% category with all of your other needs. Same with pampering yourself. You can do as much as you want, self-care, go to the spa as much as you want, as long as it fits in that 30% wants category. You get to spend your money as you see fit. You can spend more or spend less depending on how you want to utilize your categories. A lot of people really like this flexible approach. They feel like they have a greater control of their money. And ideally, that's what a budget does for you. It gives you greater control of your money. I strongly believe that budgets are necessary. They help you reach your financial goals. They promote savings and investing. They help you get out of debt. They can break that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. But most importantly, they give you greater control of your money. And when you have greater control of your money, you face less financial stress. Financial stress is one of the main stressors in life nowadays. So if you can find a way to not stress about money, gain greater control of your money and your spending, well, you're gonna find that you are living a much better life. A budget helps you do exactly that. Remember that the 50-30-20 budgeting rule is just one of the many different budgeting styles out there. There are dozens, as I previously stated, and I plan on doing a video on each of them because I believe budgeting is that important. There is no one best budgeting strategy. They all have a similar end goal. They all force you to analyze your spending, cut out unnecessary expenses, and make sure that you're dedicating money to your wants, needs, and savings. They all want to help you reach your financial goals, reduce debt, and build wealth. They all have the same end goal. The methods they use to get there may differ, but the end goal is the same. What matters is that you choose a budgeting strategy that works best for you. So let me know, have you guys tried the 50-30-20 budgeting rule? Let me know in the comments down below. If you have, what are your thoughts on it? Or if you haven't, why haven't you considered it? Or maybe you'll consider it in the future. I always love hearing what you guys have to say. So I hope you guys have a great week ahead. I will be posting videos every Monday and Thursday per usual. Please hit that like button on the way out, ring the subscribe bell, and if you're interested in a free stock from Robinhood, there is a link down below. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.